Welcome to another episode of GOV 101. I'm Jeff Noles.
I'm Marcia Hampton.
Today, we're going to discuss three departments.
Three departments.
Usually we only focus on one, but today we're going to do three, and it's about differences.
Yeah.
Because there's three departments that work so closely together, it's really difficult to decide which one does what sometimes.
That's right.
Those three departments are Development Services, that's my department, Downtown and Community Services.
Wrong. Community and Downtown Services.
Well, I'm going to change it up for today. And
Of course you will.
and the City of Douglasville Development Authority.
Right. Which is not technically a department.
It's an authority.
Right.
But there is an individual that is the executive director of that authority that we work very closely with. And it's, like I said, sometimes it's really difficult to decide who to go to for what.
Has he been on Bill's show?
Yeah, he's been on Bill's show.
Have you been on Bill's show?
Yeah, I've been on Bill's show like 5 or 6 times. I actually was I was the guest host for Bill's show one time.
Well, I know at one point there was a little issue of you being on Bill's show.
No, I actually hosted Bill's show.
Okay, fine. You hosted it.
Yeah,
I've never
on the
hosted a
agenda.
show.
I was guest host for On the Agenda.
Has he been on City Connector?
Bill?
No, Jamie.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, okay. So he's pretty much been around. So people.
You know what he hasn't done? The lineup.
So he didn't have a badge.
The lineup is for Parks and Rec.
Is it?
Yes.
Why would you line up at Parks and Rec?
The lineup, like baseball
Oh, I don't watch City TV that often.
or sports, obviously.
You don't line up in all sports.
Baseball, you do.
But that's not all we do at the park. There's other stuff.
We do a lot of baseball and softball.
We do golf.
It's probably 90% of what we do. We do have football season, but baseball, softball, if you took the number of kids
So what's the
that
lineup?
participate in recreational activities in the city of Douglasville,
It's
and
the
then divided that by the number of kids that participate in other activities other than baseball, that's probably less than 10%.
So it's the lineup.
It's called the lineup.
I won't be able to get over that.
And then we have the police report. He's not been on the police report either. I've not been on the police report. Have you?
No, I haven't been on there. No, the police have come to this show.
Yeah, but I've not been on the lineup either.
No.
So Jamie's been on all the same shows as us, except for Gov 101. Today is his inaugural Gov 101 initiation.
It's the privilege to be on the number one show.
Number one show. Totally unscripted, obviously unprepared.
Totally unfair.
We're going to, as soon as we come back, we're going to move aside and we're going to please our editors
Right.
by adding a third person to our round table.
We're going to be kind of tight in here?
Yeah, it's going to be warm too.
Okay. All right.
So we'll be right back with Jamie Gilbert from the City of Douglasville Development Authority.
We're back.
Welcome back. We have now on our show Jamie Gilbert, the Executive Director of the City of Douglasville Development Authority.
Welcome, Jamie.
Oh, thank you, Marcia. Thanks, Jeff.
Been here for more than a year now. A lot has happened,
Yes, it has.
and we've kind of your roles have been defined. I know when you first started, it was kind of like who does what, and it really felt like that for the longest because we knew what Jamie did, but man, the phone calls were just coming left and right. Now we know what each of us does, hopefully.
Oh, we got a great team.
Yeah, we do. And the lines, I can admit, the lines are real fuzzy.
Yeah, they are.
We oftentimes don't really step on each other's feet, but we're kind of in the huddle at the same time, moving in the same direction. I know, I guess if I had to think about how all this worked, Jamie is kind of like the leadoff batter in the lineup.
We're going to talk about sports?
Yeah, why not?
Can we talk about like shopping? Like Jamie is like
like what?
kind of like
He's like the
bank.
I was thinking more like, Doug Flutie because of the height, but
Oh,
the quarterback.
I got you. Okay, we can talk about football. I'm pretty good with football. Okay, use football as an analogy.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
that's more fun than baseball.
Jamie is the kicker.
Oh, no. That's. But you're right. I can kick football.
Well, does he score more points because his projects are bigger?
Absolutely. He's the go-to guy.
Okay.
When you need to win a game, it's never the quarterback or the wide receiver or the running back. It's the kicker.
So would I be the punter? That means because I keep the game going?
No.
I do keep the game going.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not sure I like this role of kicker because, you miss an easy one and then you're really in the doghouse from the coach to the rest of the players.
But it's the truth.
Really
same goes.
It's the truth.
Same goes here. If you miss an easy project.
Fortunately, we don't.
We never miss projects.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
But if we do, nobody would really know, right?
No, I mean it's all very private. I mean it's all undercover. We use code names for everything, so you'd never know. But we don't miss.
No, we don't.
So we don't even need to talk about that. For the public,
we like to substitute those field goals for touchdowns.
Absolutely. For the viewing public, we can talk about analogies all day long and probably keep everybody in the dark about what Jamie does and what you do and what I do.
You're probably going to say that you're the quarterback.
No. I am probably, my team is probably the linemen. They get the job done. They're down in the trenches. We get the things built. We get the things under construction. We get people moving along. And we try to keep everybody moving in one direction, and that's forward.
Okay, well, who am I then?
You're kind of like the.
I know who she is. I'm not the kicker. You are the lineman. Okay. Marcia is like the tight end or the fullback, okay? And I'm like the running back. I'm like the C.J. Spiller, being a Clemson guy, the C.J. Spiller of the team. You're going to block for me and make me get into that end zone. And I'm going to use Marcia at times to help move us down the field.
I want to be special teams.
Yeah, you can be special teams.
Okay,
that's
where
you belong.
That's where I belong because I make things happen. Sometimes
like
they're little bitty things, but I make things happen.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so now what we really do.
Absolutely. Kickoff, punt return, punt team. Right. That's you.
That's me.
That's you.
All of that.
You start the game, sometimes end the game.
But you know what? Also in this job, you also... in the Development Authority, in the City Development Authority, you have to be a linebacker too and smack some heads around sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes
it just happens.
You have to hurt feelings every once in a while.
You can't be everything to everybody.
No.
So when would it be that you, as a Development Authority, would work with Jeff?
When I won't work with Jeff?
When I will.
When
will you?
I work with Jeff all the time.
Why
Because
is that?
my primary role is to bring in companies or to get existing industries to expand. In a lot of those cases, they're going to be they're either going to be engaging in new construction or they're going to be expanding a building and there's going to be new equipment involved, and all of those things require permit approval and in some cases zoning changes or zoning amendments. So I work with Jeff to make sure we have our zoning in place, we have all of our permits, we understand the priority and the time frames that a specific company has and when they want to be operational so we can move it through that process. So again, he's the offensive line.
Well, I would say that, I do the same thing. Maybe, Jeff, you're the coach.
No.
Are you the owner of the team?
I could be. No. That's the mayor and council.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the mayor and council. And I work, and it's kind of funny. You have a development authority too.
I do, and it's specifically for downtown.
Right.
And Jamie does contact myself or Stephanie Elworth, who's our Main Street manager, when there is a possible project looking to locate to the downtown area. And sometimes they are, and we do have some unique incentives that are just specific to downtown development.
And then I use that same role that I work with Jamie to work with Marcia.
That's correct.
And keep everything moving in the right direction, expediting, making sure that everything is done because time is money.
Yes.
And to our new companies, the faster they can operate, the more money they can make. So yeah, our job is to continue to move them forward and keep them moving down the right track, and hopefully eventually get their buildings up and operational and have them moving in and making money.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that for the community, that's jobs, that's tax base, that's everything we need to be a successful community and have have property tax where we dream and hope it will always stay.
Well, I can tell you, in working with Jeff on several projects in the last few months, one of the things that's been very helpful is expediting that permit process. And what was good is I was with a prospective industry this morning, and we were talking about the construction of the for the project and how from the time they begin when they want to be completed and operational. And it was nice to be able to tell the company, you know what, you get that permit filed and we can get out to you in a certain time frame, and know that that time frame will be met, that it's not just talk, that it's actually backed by the actions of Jeff's department.
Yep.
And those folks have been great in terms of working with us and getting those projects expedited, getting permits out so the companies can move forward and get their buildings up and running.
Yeah, and Jeff's department is a very good department, and anytime that we need anything in the downtown area, and what's a little bit different from what you do, most of the companies that are going to relocate to the downtown area are businesses. There are going to be some unique instances where they will be looking at buildings that, one, may not have been upgraded for years, or they're just historic structures and they have to be looked at in a different way. So it's nice to know that we can call any one of Jeff's staff, and more than likely they've been here long enough where they're familiar with the property.
Yeah.
So we try to tell anybody who's looking to relocate to the downtown area to go sit down, have that one-on-one meeting before they sign any lease, before they make any deal, to just kind of talk about what property they're looking at before they move forward.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Marcia, what I enjoy about working with the city, obviously we've been talking about Jeff's department, but your department and your development authority is great to work with. And although we sometimes overlap, the majority of what you do in terms of the downtown area benefits those projects that I have that are looking at downtown. A perfect example is the Ross Group, which went into the Regions Bank building. One of the things that I think they found attractive about that space was the fact that it was located in downtown Douglasville, near the restaurants, near the hub of activity in the city. And that's important. And it's also an important draw for other companies that I'm working with. And while the buildings there may be a limited amount of buildings we have to work with here, there are certainly groups and businesses that I work with that when they look at Douglasville will want to be downtown, and what you do is very important in helping to get them here, so we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that too.
Yeah,
we appreciate each other.
We all
Yes.
do. And when we
Yes.
come back, we're going to answer the question, when would you talk to Jamie? When would you talk to Marcia? And when would you talk to Jeff?
Exactly.
You probably don't want to talk to me if your time is very limited, because I do have a tendency to go on and on.
We'll be
That's another issue.
We'll be right back and cover all those.
Welcome back.
So I said before we went to break that we were going to answer the question, when would you talk to Jamie? When would you talk to Marcia? And when would you talk to Jeff? I think during the break we kind of summed it up. If you want,
Always talk to Jeff.
You're eventually always going to talk to Jeff.
Right.
But if you've already signed a lease, you start with Jeff.
Right. Which I would highly recommend not signing a lease until you've actually talked with Jeff. Because there are zoning issues that you may have to consider.
Absolutely.
Permitting issues you may have to consider. So,
Well, wait, whoa.
you always want to talk with Jeff first.
Well, yeah, you do, but when they talk to Jeff first, they ought to also be talking to the City Development Authority, because you know what? A lot of times, if you've already signed your lease, you've already purchased your building, there are state incentives that are out there and local incentives that you're going to be ineligible for. So if you want to make this area the most attractive and make your business really get it off to a good start, there are some things that you might be able to take advantage of. We may be able to get you a low interest loan to help finance the acquisition of that property or to buy the equipment. But once you bought it and once you've gotten the space, you're not eligible for those programs.
Well, and a lot of times I'll have that, when I have that conversation about a new business coming into the city of Douglasville, and Jamie knows because he gets a lot of phone calls because of me, that very statement will come out of my mouth. You probably want to talk to Jamie Gilbert with the City of Douglasville Development Authority. He may be able to help you with this.
Correct.
Because we're all about the success of our businesses.
Oh yeah.
Well,
being able to retain business and being able to bring in new business, that's our goal.
I understand all that.
That's Jamie's goal.
Yes, but I will tell you, our approach in our office is just a little bit different. And the only reason I say that is because traditionally, what occupies most of these buildings downtown are not what they were originally intended for. Most of them were just intended. Go ahead.
This was a blacksmith shop.
Correct. We're right now currently in a blacksmith shop. So it wasn't actually intended for a city TV. So we tried to make certain to tell folks, go and talk with Jeff. Not that your property may or may not be able to be rezoned, rehab, but we want you to know what the cost will be before you even start to come on board. The average business owner that has a business in downtown Douglasville will be your individual property owner, your individual guy. They won't be backed by an industry. Not that we don't want those, but that's just currently where we are right now. And hopefully in the future we can move toward that. And thanks to Jamie, we do have the Ross Group who relocated downtown, and they are a larger firm, but overwhelming majority of our businesses are, you don't want to say mom and pop, but they're the 2010 version of mom and pop.
The basis of the American economy is the small business.
Yes.
And that's where we make our money. I mean, that's how America gets ranked as the #1 economy in the world, and it's based off small business.
Correct.
This used to be a blacksmith shop.
This used to be a blacksmith shop.
Could we get a permit to operate a blacksmith shop here downtown?
No.
I didn't
No.
think so. Okay.
Just
Probably with a special land use permit. I might be able to work
okay, that's
something out.
to make sure. I don't want to be recruiting any blacksmith shops to downtown Douglasville.
That's probably not. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how many blacksmiths there are in operation.
Probably the same amount as buggy whip makers.
Probably. Yeah. So.
But I bet in Williamsburg there's a lot more.
Yeah. Actually, in Sonoy, there is a.
Where's that?
In Sonoy, not Sonoya, in Sonoy.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that in China?
But there's an A at the end of it, right?
No, it's kind of like Peachtree City
How do you
over
spell
there.
that?
Okay.
It's Senoia. Sonoy?
Sonoya. Okay.
Anyway, it's Sonoy. Whatever.
Sonoya,
there is
like
a business where there is a horse and buggy in the shop. It's an antique shop. It's kind of like a museum.
It's a real horse?
Oh, no, the horse
Maybe
is not
it's
in
just
there.
the
The
buggy.
buggy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the buggy's in there. But yeah, they're in there. So, they may know where to build a wheel or a seat or whatever the heck you do with the buggy.
So when would you talk to Jamie? We digress.
Yes.
I would assume, and I've been a part of it, if you're looking to move to the city of Douglasville to open and operate a facility or a business.
Well, I think if you're looking to move to Douglas County, you talk to us because we have the premier sites and buildings here in the county, and we are the most aggressive in terms of putting deals together, and that's what our role is. We try to make sure we are business friendly, and we will go out of our way to make a deal happen.
From my
Awesome
experience, is you don't talk to Jamie because he's already talked to you. He's kind of like that guy who knows before,
I wish that was the case.
Before you need a cold drink, that you need a cold drink.
Gosh.
He's that guy.
I try to be that way.
Are you two guys used car salesmen?
I'm just telling you, Jamie talks to more people about Douglasville than you can shake a stick at. And that's a lot of folks, depending on the size of the stick.
Sorry.
So
we digress once again.
When would you talk to Marcia? Marcia's your department's huge, so I mean.
No, I mean you would talk to me if you're looking for a unique experience. If you're looking to be in a place where you can have a small business, where you can have shops, eateries, and entertainment all at your doorstep. That's when you would talk to me.
Okay.
You would have to understand that we are very special, and what we do have some incentives. Just as Jamie, we can't do exactly what Jamie does, but there are low interest loans, grants, and a variety of things that we have.
But it depends. I mean, that's where we work together, because if we can bring in a company that would buy a building down here and invest, let's say as a customer service center, you have those low interest loans that are available that they can tap into, and depending on the size of the project, there may be some property tax abatements available to those companies, so they go hand in hand.
Correct.
And you come talk to me when you're ready to build.
Ready to build.
Or move.
Or change the zoning.
Or open a business. Before you apply for your business license.
Get a sign.
Come talk to
put up a banner.
All of those things, yeah.
Get a code enforcement violation.
Well, I think what's also important too, when talking with me and talking with you, is if you're considering putting a business here in Douglasville, make sure the zoning is correct, because we've had this come up time and time again where projects have gotten to the 11th hour, and now that we're on the scene, because we've been around now for about, I've been here just over a year and the authority's been around for 2, we're making sure we check what the zoning is for a project. But in the past, with some other groups in this general area, they brought projects in and they haven't looked at the zoning, and we've had to rescue these projects at the 11th hour, get the zoning compliant to make it work. It's a lot easier if we start out at the beginning of the project and make sure the site works, or we do the things that are needed to make the changes so that the project can move forward without any bumps in the road. And you're good at helping with that.
We continue to work around the 6th hour, but never the 11th hour. Yes. It's always fun, and it's not, it's kind of boring if you just do it when the clock strikes 1 o'clock in the morning. It's never fun.
All right, so before we go, what are some good projects we have?
I think Jamie's Georgia Highlands College.
Awesome.
I'm really impressed by that. Super happy. It was a great project.
It's a good addition to Douglasville, and it does a lot to get the Douglasville Town Center jump started. And if it wasn't for that project being there, some of the interest we're drawing on the old Walmart space, I can tell you, would not be there.
Right.
The fact that college is there is helping draw other businesses to the center. But we have a lot of work cut out for us. We have a few large industrial buildings that are vacant down in the Riverside Parkway in the Thornton Road area. That's another thing. A lot of folks don't realize we go that far east, but we do. We're down on Thornton Road, we're on Skyview Drive, we're on Riverside Parkway, and we have some properties to work. So in the last few months, I've seen activity pick up in terms of companies interested in going into that space. So we kind of cover the whole gamut. We work with companies that might only have a handful of employees that have the potential to grow into something really special, but we also work with some very well-established companies that are looking to employ 1,000 people. So I always say there's no project too small or too large for the City Development Authority. We're always willing to work with folks and find the right fit for them here in Douglasville.
And the best is yet to come.
Oh yeah, we have some projects that hopefully in the next week or two we'll be able to announce that will be very good for the city and the county and the region, and help create some jobs that we know we could use with the way the unemployment is in the Atlanta area.
Very exciting.
Awesome. Very exciting. Waiting for my
project. Yeah, Marcia, let's hear it. What you got?
Well, let's see. Everybody knows about, I guess the last restaurant that we actually had was the Irish Bread Pub come on board, and that was actually a full renovation. We don't get a lot of those, which is good, when somebody can basically take a building and actually utilize some of the old product and the old material that's in the building to incorporate it into what's new and what you currently see now. I'm looking forward to Magnolia Cafe reinventing itself. Unfortunately they suffered a fire, but fortunately they will be rebuilding, so I think that's going to be huge, so we don't lose that restaurant. And what we actually have coming on board is an upholstery company that's relocating from Hiram. The owner is young and very aggressive. He actually has the contract to redo all of the stadium seating with the University of Alabama. So he does a lot of work. It's actually a very good project for us, and he will be located at 6660 Broad Street. For those of you who know that property, it's the 2-story building with the columns that has long been vacant and gutted. So that's actually going to be a very exciting project to follow through. And if you actually watch Main Street TV for the next year, we will be following that project through its ribbon cutting.
I'm not gonna show my age because everybody thinks I'm like 20 something anyway.
You're 25?
No. That used to be, and I'll call the building by what some of the old timers would call it. It's the old cake pantry.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we're going to be excited to see that building transformed. And it's, for us, it's good when businesses come down, of course, just as Jamie said, but it's even an added bonus when somebody restores life to an old property.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the greatest, it's never great that a building burns down, but one of the most fortunate things is there was no one injured in the fire at Magnolia Cafe, which is a blessing.
Definitely.
If there is one to come out of a horrible incident like that. My projects, we work with your projects, work with Jamie's projects. Really impressed by the way the renovation turned out for Georgia Highlands College. I mean, that used to be a grocery store, and to see the inside of that facility now, transformed into a branch of Georgia Highlands College. Right. That's amazing, and it looks great.
Well, I'll tell you this also. Talk about other uses that have come out there. One of the other things that I'm impressed with, if you haven't seen it, and it's hard because you're not allowed to enter the facility, but you can see it if you walk by. Out there is the U.S. Census Bureau space, and that space is really really good shape.
Yeah.
The fiber optics is well suited for office development. That space is actually going to be available later this month since the census is phasing out the operations here. But that's another example, when you talk about George Highlands, what they did, of what that center's potential is.
Right.
And I think we can get another office user in there long term.
Motivated owners. That's been our biggest asset in that center is
Block
motivated.
and Con are terrific.
Motivated owners. But
They are.
my favorite, I got a lot going on. We don't just issue permits for other people to build things. We build things ourselves too. Hunter Park, great project ongoing right now. The public safety building. Wow, if you haven't been down Fairburn Road, that facility is really starting to take shape, and it's something that'll probably bring a tear to all of our eyes when that thing finally opens, because it's been so long awaited. But the thing probably for us that we're most proud of, my department, is Bright Star Road Connector. It's a new road. I know not many of you have driven on it yet, unfortunately. We are working toward getting that road open, but it provides such an economic opportunity to the community. Jamie's working with properties out there on the connector that can bring offices, eateries, recreational opportunities, large-scale commercial shopping. Everybody looks at Douglasville. The critics say, well, you got empty buildings already.
Right.
But then you hear those same people say, well, you don't have such and such.
Right.
Exactly. We don't have such and such because they won't locate where there's a vacant building. They want to go into a nice new facility.
Right, and it just depends. You got to find the right user for the older space, but there is definitely a market out there that demands that they have new retail locations. Yeah. It's just like the idea when on the industrial side of folks saying, well, we have an industrial park, or we have we have these industrial buildings. Well, if those buildings aren't suitable and they're not drawing the interest, and the new construction is, then you have to make sure you do everything to get that new construction going. And that's what we're going to do with the Bright Star Road Connector property, what we call the Conroy piece out there. And nowhere else am I aware of in the Atlanta area do you have 100 acres basically with interstate frontage like that that's ready to go. It holds so much potential, not just for retail, but you mentioned too, office and other types of uses that will generate jobs, tax revenue, and really be a benefit to this community.
I think our team is signaling.
Is that it? Are we done?
No, we're not done yet, but we've had some great conversation, and we hope to have Jamie back on Gov 101 in the future when we can announce more great information.
Yes.
Hopefully we can scoop Bill on the agenda with some news.
Has Bill been on our show?
No, Bill's not been on our show.
Are we going to invite him one day?
Maybe. I don't know. It's up to the executive director and the producers and the editors. I don't know.
I thought Bill was the executive director.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's the city manager.
Oh, okay.
But I thought he was the coach of our football team.
Coach could, yeah, probably so.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But
it's been fun.
It's been a great episode of Gov 101, and if you have any questions, of course, please email us. We all have our individual roles, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Gov 101. I'm Jeff Noles.
I'm Marcia Hampton.
Jamie Gilbert.
Thanks for joining us.